Oh my God, I killed Kenny.
Ralph.
No, I killed Kenny yesterday.
South Park has been airing for well over 25 years. As one of the most successful animated shows of all time, it's only natural that it has been referenced many times in pop culture throughout its run. Today, I'm going to talk to you about every South Park reference in other media. Some of them are obvious, and others are complete Easter eggs that most people would never know. I hope you enjoy my video. Let's get right into it. In 1998, South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone were lead actors in the movie BASEketball. Trey Parker improvised this line and at the same time referenced his show, Family Guy. It's no secret how South Park feels about Family Guy. They made it pretty obvious. However, Family Guy has referenced them 4 times throughout their run. They were definitely not as savage as South Park, except for one joke that was cut before it aired.
Ow, 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 ow.
Ow! Trey! Come on, Matt. Just relax and let it happen.
This is an obvious reference to creators Matt and Trey, but McFarlane cut it from the final script, saying that it was in bad taste. In the episode Big Fat, Peter says,
I always wanted to go to Canada, but then South Park went, so we couldn't go.
An Emmy-winning episode, South Park appears on the library computer as a show that has won many Emmys. In V is for Mystery, Kenny McCormick's skeletal remains are seen in the title sequence. In Family Guy Through the Years, at the beginning of the episode, Peter says,
And a pretty good ribbon by those South Park guys.
American Dad. In the episode, The Longest Distance Relationship, Jeff and Sinbad are morphing into different animation styles. One of them looks very similar to South Park. In A Boy Named Michael, Roger is dressed in an orange parka covering most of his face, very similar to Kenny's. The Simpsons. They have referenced South Park many times and have a nice relationship with South Park Studios, even sending them flowers after their Family Guy episode. In The Bart of War, Bart and Milhouse are influenced by watching a South Park episode. In Homer the Whopper, one of the usernames the comic book guy mentions is
I killed Kenny 6475.
In Oh Brother, Where Bart Thou? Bart, Milhouse, Nelson, and Ralph dress up as the South Park boys. In Gorgeous Grandpa, during Mr. Burns' song about evil, Eric Cartman appears as a silhouette, among other pop culture villains. In The Cat in the Hat, Homer travels into the South Park universe and parodies of the boys appear. And for my favorite one,
Both be good, like the South Park guys. Except Trey does everything. Trey does everything!
this is a joke about how despite being co-creators, Trey Parker does most of the creative work on the show. He directs almost every episode, does all the music, he does more voices, etc. Though despite all this, he claims he wouldn't be able to do the show without Matt. And Matt handles more of the business side and stuff that Trey doesn't want to do. Futurama. In the 2007 movie, Bender's Big Score, Cartman's head is visible in the scene where Leela and Lars visit the Head Museum. Powerpuff Girls. This one was a bit unexpected, but the reference cannot be mistaken. In episode 9 of season 2, Blossom gets hit so hard she's knocked into a pile of clothes that resemble Eric Cartman. World of Warcraft. The 2006 episode, Make Love Not Warcraft, was a massive success for both South Park Studios and Blizzard Entertainment. When the achievement system released in World of Warcraft, one of the first to be added was called Make Love Not Warcraft. You get the achievement after hugging the corpse of another player after you kill them. They have also referenced the episode in dialogue within the game. And although the Sword of a Thousand Truths isn't in the game, there is a sword that looks exactly the same as it. Rick and Morty. In the episode, The Richturian Morty Date,
What about this? South Park did it 4 years ago, Morty.
They're fast.
in the Vat of Acid episode, Morty, along with his girlfriend and 2 other survivors from the plane crash, are dressed similar to the 4 main South Park characters. In Full Meta Jack Rick, Morty says,
Using Jesus to beat us up? Have you seen South Park?
Robot Chicken. In the Celebrity MasterChef bit, we see an old friend from South Park.
STDs are actually my biggest fear, children.
Boy Meets World. The writers of this show were no doubt fans of South Park. There are 3 references in a single episode from 1998.
Oh my gosh! They killed Feeny! Oh my gosh! They killed Kenny!
And a couple episodes later, in the episode Eric Hollywood,
I can do Cartman.
I'm not fat. I'm festively plump.
The 2006 movie Grandma's Boy has inflatable characters from the show, most notably Eric Cartman. Probably the least expected reference on this list comes from My Little Pony. In the episode Thanks for the Memories, Stan and Cartman's hats are shown. In the year 2000, an anime named FLCL referenced South Park 3 times. In the third episode, a car is accidentally destroyed, and as the students look on, a figure of Kenny McCormick impaled by a spear can be seen. In the fifth episode, they do an animation swap similar to South Park. Later on in the same episode, another Kenny McCormick reference is given. I find this one very interesting because at the time, South Park wasn't hugely popular in Japan, but they seem to go out of their way to reference the show more than once. The only other Japanese anime that I can find that referenced South Park was Yuri on Ice. South Park actually referenced this anime first. It was on Ike's computer history from season 20's episode 10. Next up, we have The Office. South Park is mentioned in season 8's episode Spooked.
Chef from South Park, it's genius.
Just some chef.
Mad TV. In season 3, episode 23, one of the sketches is called South Park Nuts. Basically a parody combining South Park and Peanuts.
They killed Slinus! You bastards!
Our next reference comes from a Disney kids show? Huh. It's called Jessie, and the reference is in season 1, episode 7.
Oh! They killed Kenny!
If you haven't noticed by now, people really love referencing the Killed Kenny bit. Fun fact, Comedy Central thought killing Kenny off every episode was a horrible idea and even begged Matt and Trey not to do it. Luckily for them, they stood their ground, and it ended up being one of the most iconic catchphrases in all of South Park. They stopped this gimmick some time ago, yet still to this day, even people who don't watch South Park know where this phrase comes from. In The Amanda Show, there is a list of parody movies, and one of them is South Pork. Our next reference is, well, the entire show. Block 13 is a shameless ripoff of South Park. It was created in Kuwait and is done in Arabic. I've watched some of this show with subtitles, and it's really just trying to be South Park but less offensive. Pretty much the worst thing they will say is ass. It ran for 3 seasons for a total of 45 episodes on Kuwait TV from 2000 to 2002. Throughout the entire series, they only acknowledged South Park one time, when a waitress addressed the boys as Mr. South Park. In the animated show Big City Greens, one of the children at the Polar Bear Zone has a similar appearance to Kenny, but with a dark green winter outfit, likely to avoid copyright. The Sopranos. South Park is mentioned in season 1, episode 7.
Maybe he's watching South Park. Number 1 was supposed to be on tonight, the one where Cartman gets abducted by aliens.
Next up, we have a reference from the animated TV show Drawn Together. The main characters go into the town of South Park, and everyone is dead, except for Kenny, who is, ironically, the only one alive. In the TV series that literally nobody watching this video has ever seen, called Student Bodies, we have another Kenny reference.
Oh my god, they killed Flash! You bastards!
This next one is extremely subtle, but it still counts in my opinion. On The Cleveland Show, when they put up a list of songs, you can make out Blame Canada and What Would Brian Boitano Do if you look close enough. iCarly. While not on the actual show, there is a web segment on iCarly.com called I Bust a Thief. It's a cartoon where the animation style is very similar to South Park. It also has Sam biting off Freddy's hand, which is uncharacteristic of iCarly and more so of South Park. Although not a direct reference, they are confirmed to be using an animation technique that is similarly used on South Park. Another surprising one, Arthur. In the episode The Contest, Buster writes a parody story of Cartman gets an anal probe. When I saw this one, I thought it was maybe a coincidence, but after some research, it seems pretty legit. Both fan wikis acknowledge this reference, and the animation style change is pretty similar as well.
Oh! Hey, you squished Buster!
So I did end up finding more anime that references South Park. The first one is called Negima and dates back to 2005. The animation style appears to be typical of the mid-2000s, though at the end of an episode it has a short titled Seoth Park. And our last anime on this list comes from Panty and Stocking. During this episode, there is an animation style switch that resembles South Park. This is actually confirmed by the animators, so we don't have to guess. Celebrity Deathmatch. This is an adult stop-motion claymated series that ran from 1998 to 2002. In an episode, musicians Kenny G and Flea are to fight to the death.
Flea killed Kenny G!
You bastard!
Last Man Standing, an American sitcom that ran from 2011 to 2017. In Season 2, Episode 9, a South Park character is referenced. Can you guess which character it is? Of course you can.
It's Kenny from South Park!
In the Fairly OddParents weird live-action series, an Eric Cartman reference is made.
Boo you guys! I'm going home!
Despite this video only being 11 minutes long, it took me a stupid amount of time to research and gather all the clips for this. If you watched this far, subscribing or liking the video would really help me out. I have a passion for South Park and will be making a lot more content similar to this. Thank you so much for watching.